What's up, Isn't It Crazy podcast listeners? Today's Tuesday and it is cold as balls in Chicago. It's not as bad as that polar vortex where it was like negative 17 degrees. The White Walkers were out there, cars wouldn't start, and they still made us go to work. If it happens this year, I'm definitely calling off. Fuck all that. But I can't complain. It's not snowing, so God knows I hate the snow, especially because I drive a Camaro. So give it an inch of snow and that car gets stuck. And then I got to dig it out. So usually when it snows in Chicago, it's either I take an Uber or I ask my dad for a ride. But I'm kind of shit out of luck. I should probably invest in one of those hideous Tesla trucks. But it is December in Chicago, so I'm not really surprised. And being December, it means that New Year's is right around the corner. And I know a lot of people make their little tiny goals. Like, I know a lot of people make New Year's resolutions. They want to go to the gym. They want to stop being like shit. Personally, for me, I want to start being nicer. I think I'm a bit of a dick. I don't know if it's a defensive mechanism where I automatically just start talking shit. And sometimes me having no filter, I tend to cross lines and rub people the wrong way. This year, I'm going to try to check myself and be nicer to people. But there's people that want to start businesses. I know there's people that want to start podcasts. I've gotten a couple messages about that. And every goal you have starts as an idea in your head. So for me, it was this podcast. You know, I would listen to Joe Rogan and The Fighter and the Kid, and I just wanted to do what they were doing. You know, I wanted to have a place where I could talk about things I'm passionate about, whether it be watches or fighting or cars or movies I watch on Netflix. And I also wanted a place where I could invite people who are passionate about things in their life, because there's no better conversation than somebody that's passionate about something. You know, I could ask my girlfriend about mugs and she'll tell you which ones are microwave safe, which ones are heat activated, which ones hold this much liquid. She lights up when she talks about things she's interested in. And I love those conversations. I love when people tell me that this is what they're immersed in, this is what they think about all the time. So I wanted to have a place where I could come and share these stories and ideas with everybody on my platforms, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. So that's what I did. I started with an idea, and the first step I took to making it a tangible thing was putting it on paper, a blueprint kind of sorts. When I first thought of the idea, I looked at it as a whole and I got scared and intimidated because I didn't know anything about podcasting. I didn't know what microphones to use, what this is, or what kind of lights to use. It seemed all so impossible. And then I broke it down. Once I put it on paper, I started breaking it down. It wasn't like I bought all this equipment in one day and then the next day I had a podcast. It definitely didn't happen like that. Step by step, I gathered the things I needed to make a nice podcast. Maybe not a good one, but at least something that looks and sounds pretty good. And to this day, I'm still working on the sound, on my voice, on the lights. But I understand that there's a process to making it work, to achieving and getting me to that finish line. And the first thing I learned about a goal is that at the beginning, you're going to have a lot of motivation. That motivation should just be used as something to get the ball rolling, not as something that's going to be consistently there. Because the first thing to go is your motivation. If you're somebody that has tried to go to the gym year after New Year's, a lot of people fail because the first thing to go is their motivation. They want to see instant results, and once they don't see them, they quit. And then they just have some subscription to Planet Fitness for the rest of the year that they don't really use. So you have to get into a certain mindset. You have to understand that the motivation just is kind of like kindle to the fire. It's just to start you off, to push you in that direction, to get you going. And then it's going to slow because there is highs and lows when you start looking into the process of, for example, making a podcast. There's things that seem impossible. I don't know anything about sound editing. I don't know anything about lights or what cameras to use. And all that made my motivation go down and take a hit. And what helped me was, and what will help you in this goal that you have, whatever it is that you're thinking about right now, is looking at the little progress that you're making, these little steps that you achieve every single day. If you're truly immersed in it, these little progress will give you that little motivation to keep going on to the next step. And eventually you'll have what I have. I could, this idea that I had, that I put onto paper, eventually became this room. Every single thing you see in the camera and even behind the camera was once on a piece of paper. And it took a lot of work and a lot of research. And I was nervous and I was scared, but I kept taking those steps because every time I did something, it seemed like the right direction and it would give me the motivation to keep going. I started with the background, then I started with the ideas to the logo, then I got the mic and then the table and the couch, and then eventually I had something tangible. I sit in this room and I could honestly tell myself that any goal I have, I can achieve. I can see that when you break down this big hole into processes, into steps, anything's achievable. Some goals have a million steps, some goals have 2 steps. Working out has probably like 4 steps. You go to the gym, you eat right, and you consistently go and you always push yourself. That's 4 right there. And then you see the results, but the results aren't going to be there right away. And you have to have that mindset that it's not going to be always good, that you have to stay positive, because when you get into those lows, that positivity is the one thing that's going to help you overcome that obstacle. I know some guy tried to take a shot at me and he asked me how the podcast was going and I said good, and he said, "Oh, I noticed that it only had 39 views." And if I didn't have my mentality, I would have looked at that and said, and it would hurt me. It would have hurt me. But my mentality when he said it was, if you get 39 people in a room, that's a lot of fucking people. That's a party. And they're all listening to me. And maybe they clicked and maybe they only listened for 2 minutes, but they're watching. And at least somebody's watching. You know, my first video might have gotten 10 views. Now it's at 30. There's progress there. Maybe it's not quantum leaps, but at the end of the day, there's something I'm doing to reach more people. And I'm going to keep trying to get better at this. And I'm going to keep trying to get into marketing and into sound editing and video editing. And the best thing that came out of this was that goal that I had that day became something tangible, and then I became immersed in it. This is all I think about. Most days, I'm thinking about how to make my voice sound better, how to get the lights better, getting another couch so my guests are comfortable, and getting a better mic for them. It all gets me excited, and it all gives me these little tiny bits of motivation to keep it until I reach that finish line, to have a successful podcast where I'm making money out of this and I don't have to have a job. That's my goal. And I think you have to say your goal repeatedly to yourself to remind you why you started it and why you want to achieve it. And I'm proud of what I've built. And I know this isn't the finish line. And I know there's a lot of work and a lot of hard work to get where I want to be. But these little processes, these little steps are what helps you the most. So don't lose the motivation. And whatever goal that you have in your head right now, it is achievable if you're willing to break it down and put it on paper. And every single day that you wake up, you try to manifest it into a tangible thing. That's how people do it. And you're not going to be the best at it. And it's your first things are going to be shit. Your first reps at the gym are going to be they're not going to be good form. The first videos you're going to make on YouTube, they're going to suck. The first everything. Nobody is born an expert at anything. You learn on the way to go there. And like I said, some goals have a lot of steps, and each step you have to get through. And some goals only have 4. And some people seem to not be able to achieve it. Maybe because they don't break it down. Maybe because they see a 4-step workout goal as something so big that they can never achieve because they've tried it so many times with the same view without breaking it down. So my advice would be to break it down and use every single step that you achieve as motivation, and understand that some steps are harder to overcome than others. But at the end of the day, if you tough it through, if you have a positive mentality, you'll get there. And one day you're going to have something tangible, and use it as motivation, you know? Well, that's all I have for that. So I hope you guys achieve your goals in 2020, and just remember, keep working hard on them. And I know it sounds corny, but anything is possible if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to immerse yourself and tell people. That whole moving in silence shit is so stupid. Put it out there in the world. Put it into the universe, and maybe if you're willing to put that pressure on you, if you're willing to, if you know you're going to put in that work, say it with confidence, and you will achieve it. Don't hide. Don't hide that thing you want to do, because on the way there you might meet people that will help you with that. But if you don't say it, if you're not putting it out there, these people don't know. There's people that have helped me with the podcast because I've said I want to make a podcast, and these guys are like, "Oh, I know about sound editing. I'm gonna help you with this and that." But they would have never known that if I was moving in fucking silence. Don't move in silence. Tell everybody what you want to do. That's so stupid. I want to make a successful podcast. I put it out there every single day, whether it's people say negative things or bad things about it. Fuck moving in silence. It's so dumb. But keeping a positive mind and vibe, I guess. Yeah, just break it down and go for it. Don't be scared. If you break something down, it becomes less scary. But let's move on to fight talk. So I want to talk about this past Saturday's fight between Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua. If you guys don't know the backstory between them, Andy Ruiz looks like he's fat. He's a little gordito. You know, when Joshua was supposed to fight this other guy who got caught with steroids, they called up Andy Ruiz as just a backup. They didn't see it as anything. They thought Joshua was going to go in there and murk this guy. And Joshua did underestimate this little fat guy. And the memes for it were pretty good, you know? Like, he gave fat people hope. It's like, look at this buff guy got beat by this fat guy. Why am I going to work out? And then Saturday happened. And Saturday showed us why Anthony Joshua was the champion. And then Saturday showed us why people who said Andy Ruiz got lucky were right. Andy Ruiz's first fight against Anthony Joshua, he won because Anthony Joshua underestimated him. He did not prepare, and he thought he was going to win, and he got caught. In any fight, you always have a puncher's chance. And that night, Andy Ruiz, yes, he does have power, and yes, he does have fast hands. But if Joshua would have prepared himself for that fight, we would have never had this second fight. But at the end of the day, I'm happy Andy Ruiz got some limelight and his 15 minutes of shame, or 15 minutes of fame. But the second fight showed you who the true champion was. And that was Anthony Joshua, because Anthony Joshua did what champions do. He focused, he planned, and he won. When Andy Ruiz did not do that. He did not focus. He did not plan. If anything, he ate too much, gained 20 pounds, and partied too much. He was on Joe Rogan. He was on The Late Show. He was milking the fame for all he could. And then accepted a second fight thinking that the first plan was going to work again. And now he didn't even train. At the end of the fight, he lost on Saturday, right? And it was because Anthony Joshua came in and fought him better. He boxed him. He kept his cool. He didn't attack when he had a game plan. He lost weight. He was focused. And Andy Ruiz had to apologize to his coach and his dad because he gained 20 pounds and didn't train. And he admitted it after the fight. But after the fight, he's like, let's go a third round because I didn't try this one. You're not going to get the third fight. And Andy Ruiz's legacy from now on is going to say, or people are going to say that he got lucky. And if he liked that limelight and he liked that fame, he should have focused. He should have lost weight and he should have had a game plan. And because once you win, when you achieve something, especially in boxing, you're looking at legacy. You're not looking to win anything. You've reached the top of the mountain. You're looking at legacy. And Andy Ruiz's legacy could have been 2-time world champion, heavyweight world champion of the world. You know, he defended it. He won it once, defended it the second time. But now his legacy is that one guy that got lucky because Joshua underestimated him. And that's what sucks the most. But that's what happens. You reap what you sow. And Andy, that's what he sowed. He did not prepare. And that's the results you get. So I don't feel too bad for him. I know he's not going to get the second fight. If anything, Joshua's going to fight the winner between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, but that's way down the road. I'm sure Anthony Joshua's going to fight like 3 more guys that clearly are not to his level, but given that it's boxing, they just want to make money, and they don't like making the fights that we actually want. So look out for that fight. When it happens, it's still going to be good. I guarantee you they're going to be out of their prime, but it's most likely going to be Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua, and I'll pick Wilder all day. So that's what happened this Saturday. But moving on to next Saturday, it's UFC 245 in Las Vegas. And I'm excited about this card because of Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington. And if you guys don't know who these guys are, maybe you just follow the UFC because you know Conor McGregor or Ronda Rousey, right? But that's the casual fans. But for the people that follow it, this is a very interesting fight. Colby Covington is the MAGA guy. He's backed by Trump and he talks shit. It's a circus. For him, it's like Conor McGregor times 1,000. You know, some of it, the shit he says doesn't even make sense, but it gets people's attention. He's doing what Floyd did. He's getting people so annoyed they tune in to watch him get his ass beat. And then you got Kamaru Usman, the first African champion at welterweight. And Kamaru Usman won the championship off Tyron Woodley. And the only reason he got that was because Colby had to have a sinus surgery, so he couldn't fight Tyron. And instead of waiting, the UFC just went right along and gave the shot to Kamaru Usman. Now, they have bad blood, you know. They go way back into a press conference where they're talking shit about each other. They have confronted each other at Las Vegas hotels where they almost got in a fight. I know Kamaru Usman's manager almost beat the shit out of Colby. But at the end of the day, this is what makes UFC fights so interesting. The bad blood, the shit talking. I hate when they talk so nice about each other. I get that there's a level of respect in this sport because you're going into war with somebody else, but this is what gets me going. The shit they talk. You know, Kobe's talking about Kamar's dad not being there, and Kamar saying that Kobe is not a champion. And there's an interview where he asked Kobe when did his balls drop, and it's so tense that you're like, these guys have to fight, and that's what makes the UFC great. It gives you the fights that you want, unlike boxing. And they build it up. They let these guys come together and talk shit, and then they give you this climax where you want to see who wins. So speaking about who wins, I'm going to pick Colby Covington. And I hate him as a person, but when you look at them both, some people pick their teams because That's who they grew up worshiping, right? That's an emotional pick. So you have to make a rational pick based on the facts and who these guys are. And Kamaru Usman is a wrestler he does have a punch and he does have cardio, but so does Kobe. And Kobe brings not only a better motor, his striking is insane. He just won't stop throwing punches. And his wrestling is better. So given that, I'm going to go with Kobe. And as a person, I hate him. But if I had to pick and bet my money, I'm going with Kobe as the new champion. And that works even better for me because then you get George Masvidal in the works. Because George and Kobe used to train at the same gym, and then one betrayed the other by talking shit. And that's the mega fight. That's the fight I want to see. And when you put in a championship in there, it makes it even that much juicier. So I can't wait to see Kobe win and then him fight George Masvidal. And Kamaru Usman, he's a good fighter, but he's a boring fighter. And nobody wants to watch a boring fighter. And Tyron was a boring fighter, and nobody really tuned in to see his fights either. So I'm going with Kobe Covington. Other than that, there's a 145-pound championship going down. It's Max Kellerman. No, Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski. And this guy has the greatest nickname. You know how Conor, the notorious McGregor? Alexander named himself the Great after the fucking Roman king. So Alexander the Great Volkanovski, which I think is pretty cool. And if you look at this fight, again, my emotional pick would be Volkanovski because it's this little peanut with so much energy and great defense. But if you're looking at the facts, Max Holloway does have length, and he's a surgeon. He picks his shots and creates his shots, and the way he moves, he's gonna connect. Max is a faster starter when Volkanovski takes his time. He's a slow starter, so I see Max going for the kill right away. And if you see his last fight against Chad Mendes, which is free on YouTube, I'll put the link down below. You could see that Chad cracks him a couple times, and Volkanovski got lucky. Not lucky because he does put pressure, but so does Max Holloway. And I think Max is going to use his length to keep him away, but also get his shots in. And that's what's going to give Max the victory. So I'm picking Max. And the last fight that they're going to have, which they're going to have like 6 or 7 fights and undercards and stuff like that. But there's only 3 fights that actually catch my attention. And the last one would be Amanda Nunes versus Germaine de Randamie. And I think I'm saying that right. I think it's like French. But if you know who Amanda Nunes is and you've seen her highlights, this chick is packing a punch. And this chick is, she comes out the gates looking for that kill. And that's what makes it so exciting. She's already fought this person at a lower promotion, something like Victorious or Victorian. It's like an all-girl UFC. And she won. She got on top of her, ground and pound, and the referee stopped it. And now this girl's saying they were young and she's came back with more experience, and that might be the truth. And she does have a lot of length, but the moment Tyson once said, everybody has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. The moment Amanda Nunes punches her in the mouth, game plan over. This chick's not going to know where she is. If you've looked at Amanda Nunes' resume, she's knocked out Holly Holmes, Ronda Rousey, and Chris Cyborg. And the Cyborg one was the most exciting one because she rocked her shit. So I'm picking Amanda to rock Germaine shit too. And I think Amanda could go and fight the guys. One guy I would love to see Amanda fight is Henry Cejudo, who has said he would fight a girl. And I guarantee you he does not want to fight this girl. Because I'd put my money on her. So those are my picks for the UFC 245. Kobe Covington, Max Holloway, and Amanda Nunes. If you guys disagree, please comment down below and let me know why you guys choose anybody else. Other than that, I watched The Irishman and on Netflix, and I usually give a recommendation of what movies to watch, and it's 3 hours long. And you can't go wrong with Martin Scorsese. He's done Wolf of Wall Street. He's done The Departed. He's done Hugo, which was kind of okay. But Martin Scorsese is one of the top directors in Hollywood. And obviously, I'm forgetting the best fucking movies he's made: Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas. This guy knows how to make a fucking movie. Now, he made a 3-hour movie, and did your homeboy fall asleep twice? Hmm? Yeah. I don't even think I fucking finished the whole thing. Well, it's a lot of talking, and it's not really believable because Robert De Niro is 79 years old, and there's a lot of things he does that you would say no 79-year-old can do that, or at least when he's. You gotta watch the movie. It's a pretty good movie. It made me go into the rabbit hole of who the hell Jimmy Hoffa was, and Frank, and Russ, and all these characters that they have, because I love that shit. I love Italian movies because you get to see into back in the 1950s when they had prohibition, and I love that era. So, or 1940s, I don't know when it was, but it's a good movie. You guys should check it out. If not, check out Formula One Race to Survive. That's a really good documentary. It'll get you into racing. Those are two things you guys should check. The Formula One is more realistic, and obviously The Irishman, based on a book that people say is bullshit, but check those out. Anyways, I think I'm running out of time, so thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please subscribe, please like, and thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See ya.